TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Turkey and Russia have adopted a joint memorandum on the situation in northern Syria after an extensive 6-hour meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan in the Black Sea resort city of Sochi. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper stresses that while the majority of U.S. forces that were stationed in northeast Syria were redeployed in Iraq, the ultimate aim remains to pull America's soldiers out of the Middle East and return them back home. An Israeli Air Force unmanned aerial vehicle was shot down over Lebanese airspace this morning by a Palestinian woman that was armed with a hunting rifle. Turkey and Russia have adopted a joint memorandum on the situation in northern Syria after an extensive 6-hour meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan in the Black Sea resort city of Sochi. According to the memorandum's framework, Moscow and Ankara reiterated their commitment to preserve the political unity and territorial integrity of Syria and the protection of the national security interests of Turkey. In tandem, they emphasized their determination to combat terrorism in all forms and manifestations and to disrupt separatist agendas within Syrian territory. Announcing the joint agreement, President Vladimir Putin proclaimed the adopted framework as a momentous achievement that will allow the relevant parties to resolve the acute situation on the Turkish-Syrian border.
В результате достаточно длительной и напряженной работы удалось выйти на решения, которые после наших заявлений будут озвучены министрами иностранных дел обеих стран с целью решения, которые, на мой взгляд, являются очень важными, если не судьбоносными, и позволят разрешить достаточно острую ситуацию, которая сложилась сегодня на сирийско-турецкой границе.
Among others, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan revealed that the agreed-upon terms include joint Russian-Turkish military patrols of the Syrian border region and that all of the Kurdish forces that remained within Ankara's envisioned safe zone would immediately withdraw from the territory.
23 Ekim öğlen 12'den itibaren 150 saat içinde YPG'li teröristler ve silahları 30 kilometrenin dışına çıkartılacak, örgütün tahkimat ve mevzileri imha edilecektir. 150 saatin sonunda Barış Pınarı Harekatı alanı sınırlarının batısı ve doğusunda 10 kilometre derinlikte Türk-Rus devriyeleri başlayacaktır. Tel Fırat ve Münbiş'teki tüm YPG'li teröristler silahlarıyla beraber bu bölgenin dışına çıkarılacaktır.
Speaking alongside Russia's defense minister Sergei Shoigu, Moscow's top diplomat Sergei Lavrov elaborated on the joint Russian-Turkish military patrol in northern Syria.
Российская Федерация в лице военной полиции вместе с турецкими подразделениями через неделю фактически после того, как меморандум вступит в силу завтра в полдень, будут патрулировать эту территорию. А с этой территории будут выведены вооруженные подразделения так называемых курдских отрядов самообороны на 30 километров. И 10 километров из этой полосы 30-километровой будут территории, где совместное патрулирование россиян и турок будет осуществляться.
Informing Damascus of the Moscow brokered agreement, President Vladimir Putin held a telephone conversation with his Syrian counterpart Bashar al-Assad, during which he reaffirmed Russia's commitment to Syria's unity and sovereignty of both its lands and peoples. According to multiple confirmed reports of their conversation, the Syrian leader did not hide his apprehension. President al-Assad echoed his previously voiced rejection of any invasion of Syrian territory under any name or pretext and vowed his regime's resolve to persist in the battle against terrorism and occupation of any inch of Syrian territory by all legitimate means. Earlier in the day, the Syrian president toured the front line in the Islamist-infested Idlib province of northwestern Syria, during which al-Assad denounced Turkey's leader as a thief for attacking the northeastern part of his country and reiterated a pledge to retake all of the territories that Damascus lost in the years of domestic war.
بالنسبة لنا واضحة من زمان، لكن ما أريد أن أقوله عندما نقول عن أردوغان بأنه لص سرق المصانع والمعامل، سرق القمح، سرق النفط بالتعاون مع داعش، والآن يسرق الأرض.
Meanwhile, in Germany, Berlin's top defense official Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer said she plans to introduce a draft for an internationally controlled security zone along Syria's border with Turkey at a two-day NATO meeting scheduled to commence tomorrow, despite Ankara's existing plan to create a joint Turkish-Russian safe zone. The German defense minister noted that her proposed safe zone would also include Russia and Turkey, but that it would focus on the battle against the Islamic State, reconstruction of the war-torn country, and the voluntary return to Syria of millions of the displaced refugees.
Mein Vorschlag ist, dass wir eine international kontrollierte Sicherheitszone einrichten, unter Einbeziehung der Türkei und unter Einbeziehung von Russland. Diese Sicherheitszone soll das Ziel verfolgen, dass wir in Nordsyrien zum einen den Kampf gegen den Terror, gegen den IS, der im Moment total zum Erliegen gekommen ist, wieder aufnehmen, wieder fortsetzen. Er soll aber auch dafür sorgen, dass wir die Region so stabilisieren, dass ziviler Aufbau wieder möglich ist und dass diejenigen, die auf der Flucht sind, freiwillig auch wieder zurückkehren können.
Responding to Kramp-Karrenbauer, Berlin's top diplomat Heiko Maas pointed out that her proposal caused irritation among members of the ruling Christian Democratic Union Party, which the defense minister heads. According to Foreign Minister Maas, because of the latest developments vis-à-vis the Russian-Turkish agreement, there are currently no discussions to set up an alternative international security zone in Syria.
Nach dem Vorschlag der Parteivorsitzenden der CDU erreichen uns seit gestern doch einige Fragen unserer Verbündeten. Es gibt auch, und das ist unbestreitbar, eine gewisse Irritation bei unseren Partnern. Denn angesichts der aktuell beschriebenen Lage gibt es derzeit unter den Partnern keine Diskussion um die Errichtung einer internationalen Schutzzone.
Minister Maas further cautioned the West that the adoption of Ankara's proposed safe zone does effectively legitimize Turkey's military operation against the Kurds and will also bolster the Assad regime's grip over his war-torn country.
Für mich ist dabei vor allen Dingen eines klar: Eine Schutzzone, welche die militärischen Erfolge der Türkei dauerhaft stabilisiert, würde diesen Namen nicht verdienen. Und eine Anerkennung und Stärkung des Assad-Regimes durch die Hintertür darf es auch nicht geben.
U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper stressed that while the majority of U.S. forces that were stationed in northeast Syria were redeployed in Iraq, the ultimate aim remains to pull America's soldiers out of the Middle East and return them back home.
But the aim isn't to stay in Iraq interminably. The aim is to pour soldiers out and eventually get them back home.
Elaborating on the matter, Secretary Esper noted that the details had not yet been worked out on how long the U.S. troops would stay in Iraq, and he would have discussions with his Iraqi counterpart on the matter during his visit to Baghdad today.
Well, like I said, we'll reposition as they come out of northeast Syria into Iraq. Eventually their destination is home, but what we got to do is pull them out deliberately out of northeast Syria and make our preparations to go home from there. And I'll have that discussion tomorrow with the Iraqi defense minister.
The comments by Secretary Esper did not elaborate on President Trump's voiced intention to maintain an American residual force in Syria with the aim of securing the war-torn country's oil reservoirs, as well as a strategic territory near Jordan and Israel. Now to Lebanon, where an Israeli Air Force unmanned aerial vehicle was shot down over Lebanese airspace. The IDF spokesperson's unit confirmed that one of its drones crashed near the Lebanese border early this morning. It further noted that the drone fell in the course of routine activity to secure the border. According to Lebanese media reports, a Palestinian woman that visited the border village of Kfar Kila was responsible for the downing of the Israeli drone. The report further claimed that the woman managed to shoot down the drone from a distance with a hunting rifle. Thank you for watching us. Keep praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Jonathan Hassan. Have a Erev Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.